Today we're changing the oil on a 2009 Camry V6. This engine is in many Toyota models, as referenced in the notes below. The things that you'll need: a 14mm socket, a special oil filter tool. This is where I store mine in its original package, and you can get that online or in auto parts stores. You'll also need a cartridge oil filter. You'll also need the oil. Keep in mind that your oil may be different for different models of Toyotas, even if you have the same engine. 0W20 actually is found in the same engine in Highlanders, for example, in later years. You'll need something to catch the oil. You'll need a good safe jack. You'll need jack stands. Here's a good place that you can place your jack right in the center on the frame. The jack stands also on the frame. Alright, let's get started. What we're going to do is catch the oil in this container. What a mess that was. Pro tip: pull this plug, if you've got one, to let air into your oil container, or unscrew the lid a little bit. Pro tip number 2, kitty glitter makes for a great oil absorbent. It's basically the same thing that they use in shops, so have some of that around if you got it. This oil's almost drained, as you can see. And then we're going to look at the oil filter. Oil filter's adjacent to it. As you see, it's got this fitting on here for that a ratchet would fit, a 3/8 inch ratchet. But what you want to do is probably not use that, because that can strip it out. And you can try to get your oil filter out with that fitting, but there's ridges right here, you can't hardly see because this one's kind of dirty, that catches this special tool. So doing this with one hand, you'll see it's also got teeth that comes up in here and grabs, one on this side, one on the other side. And I pre-loosened this. There's all kinds of catch devices to pick up the oil so it doesn't fall out on your head. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my oil catch under it and not worry about it. If I spill any, I'll use my kitty glitter. Alright, see you in a second. That unscrewed, and yes, a lot of oil comes out. A little bit of a splash, but then it's over with. What you want to do is you want to check your threads and also clean that with a rag once it has time to dry. As you see, my oil filter, I haven't taken it out yet. It's right here inside the cartridge. We'll do that. The new oil filter comes with gaskets, and we'll put those back in. You're going to leave this alone, but you want to inspect it. It's a spring-loaded thing under there. If you take that apart, this is what it looks like when you reassemble it. And it's not that easy to reassemble. I took mine apart one time, but doesn't need to be taken apart. Take your new filter and simply slide it over. Make sure it's seated well. What you want to do is this gasket's not needed because you don't have a plug on this design. That's not needed either, and that would have been when you took it off, but there's no plug down there. On some models there would be a plug down there. On this model there's no plug. This gasket, you want to replace that, and to get this gasket off, you don't want to gouge it or put a razor blade under it. What you want to do is you want to take a rag like this and put some sideways pressure on it, squeeze it, and it'll release and come off. And I'm going to do that now, two-handed. So Be back. See how I was able to get that gap in there by squeezing the gasket? Then you want to pull it off and put your new one on, and then put a coat of oil around the around it so it won't leak. Alright, all I did was take a little bit of a coat of oil and with my fingers and put that gasket on there. You don't want to stretch it out too much, just get it back in that groove right there. And then we're going to do the reverse. We're going to put this back on, and then we're going to put the plug back in. But when we put the plug back in, it's a good idea to use a new crush washer. And I've got some right here. You can pick these up at the auto store or buy them online. Crush washer. And I was going to say the size, but I don't have the size with me. You'll have to Google that. Alright, we're all done with the putting the plug back in as well as the oil cartridge. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill this up with 6.4 quarts of 5W30 synthetic. That's what it calls for. So 6.4 quarts. That concludes how to change your oil in a 2009 Camry and several other models of Toyotas with this V6 engine. Thanks for watching Swimming in the Deep. Like, share, and subscribe.